Hi everyone, delonewolf here. Welcome to EVE Talk, your weekly look at the market in EVE Online. And I did manage to earn the bowhead and I bought it and it's fit with structure tank. Hopefully it won't get ganked too soon. That does mean that I need to think about a next goal. I don't have anything in mind right away, except of course the new structure. CCP is teasing those citadels quite a bit. So let's hope that we don't have to wait too long, and I want to be ready when those come out. So that does mean stacking up some minerals and just keeping an eye on how those will be constructed. Maybe going into the production of them could actually be pretty useful as well, but that may require some pretty deep pockets as well. We'll see how all of that plays out, but we're here for the market, of course. So let's get into that right now with plex. That would be at 55 seconds. And plex have, I would say, stabilized a little bit. You could say they're down 1 million to 996 million, but they've basically stabilized just below the 1 billion price mark. If you look at the chart here, you can see that the 5-day moving average has basically just stopped ascending, but we've been going straight up since the beginning of April, and that's pretty much 200 million, about 1/4 of the price, so 25% increase in price since April 1st. And right now here it looks like we may be stopping at around a billion. We'll have to see what happens next for plex. I would not be surprised if we would be lingering at the current price for the time being, and we may even see another spurt up if like citadels are announced with a patch or with a release after the summer. I'm hoping for a little bit of a pullback, but I think it's pretty damn difficult at the moment for plex to actually pull back. So the multiple pilot training certificates, very similar here. They're just stuck just below 980 million. We've got data points just above that. Yeah, very similar, of course, to the plex chart. They're very expensive at the moment, around 25% more than what you could have bought them for like 4 or 5 months ago before April. So I did buy a few then. I'm not sure. I said last week I may want to sell. I may want to do it, but I'm actually not entirely sure if I actually want to do it. Next up here, the body palette resculpt. As you can see, definitely its own little market here. It came back down to almost 170 million, which I would say is pretty much an average price over the last 6 months. It's got quite a few spikes here. Let's see what they're going for. 160 up to 210. So that's actually pretty decent in spike. It's a small enough market that you could actually manipulate that or try to make some trade money. But it is, of course, very erratic as well. It's very difficult to say beforehand what's gonna trigger an increase in price or a decrease in price, and so I'd say it's pretty risky, but you could consider that for some trade money. Right now it looks like the body resculpts are actually on their way back up once again. So let's move on to some minerals next. 315, and I think that we're looking at a pretty stable situation, which is good. Especially for the high-tech minerals. As you can see here, titanium holding at around the 520 mark on the chart here. Again, the 5-day moving average starting above, going below, above the 20-day moving average, below again, and now crossing that one again, and pretty much staying around the 5.2 ISK band. So it's not bad if you want to invest in minerals, if you want to make like a reserve of minerals in anticipation of the citadels, of the new structures. That's what I'm doing. I'm expecting either to be able to build one myself. I think that would be pretty cool, but also if a lot of these these new structures require a lot of minerals, that should be more demand, and thus these could become a pretty good investment as well. Next up, let's take a look here at pyrite. Pretty similar. It looked like pyrite was actually going down, breaking the 10.8 ISK mark, but as you can see, a little bit of jump up. Then it was short-lived, up to 11, back down to 10.8, but up to 11 here once again. So pyrite it has a little bit more volatility for some reason. As you can see, sellers 11.12, buyers 10.98. You actually have to follow suit, almost 11 ISK for the buyers as well. But we are staying in the 10.8 to 11 ISK price band for now. So despite the fact that it looks a bit more violent at the tail end, pyrite is actually decently stable as well. If you look at it, let's say since the beginning of June or something like that. And I don't see any real reasons to suspect that this is going to change. Maybe a quick touch on supply demand here. We still have decent supply, All of this is in fact new supply, less than a day old, and that is of course because we've gone up in price a little bit, but still 187 million, and then 14 million, 220 million right there. On the buyer side here, you still have 100 million and 290 billion that are being bought as well. So this looks pretty healthy, pretty balanced, and it looks like we'll be moving sideways in the foreseeable future. Let's take a look at Mexalon then. That's pretty much the chart to show that that's exactly what's happening here. Moving right in the 42 to 44 is price band right there. Very, very stable. In the end here, we've got 5-day moving average pretty much hugging the 20-day moving average. So after the big decline due to the changes in minerals in nullsec, we have found our stable price, and which I think is okay. It's a decently low price, it's an affordable price. And thus you can try to go for some investments in that, I think. Supply demand here, not that much new stuff. We still have 19 million coming in, so there is a bit more demand now. 3 million, 11 million, 11 million. I would say Mexalon could go up a little bit because of this situation, if there's not a lot of supply that's going to come in here at the moment. Although it's also not that many, or well, actually here another 30 million, so you gotta be a little bit careful. Mexalon showing here some very stable stuff, but if you look at supply demand, there could be some instability in the works in favor of higher prices, I would say. Next up here, the Isogen chart. Isogen actually taking off. That's pretty interesting. I did buy some Isogen, but not that much, and that one is going up to 115. Is pretty much. We started 6 months ago at right 130, so we're coming pretty close to that. 109.5 for the buyers, 114 for the sellers. Supply demand here, let's see, 6 million, but here 9 million, 11 million. So this looks like it's an okay situation overall, but maybe there's just not that much supply, just the price is going up a little bit for Isogen. We'll have to see if this happens next week in Mexalon, and after that in Pyrite and Tritanium. It could be that the anticipation of the new structures is gonna start hitting the market, and we could actually start to see higher prices already. So I may want to invest some more in the minerals in the short term, I think. Next up here we've got Noxium. That one is the one exception. That one is still going down towards 460. I'm definitely gonna buy some of that because I think that that's a pretty good investment. Look at that, buyers 432. You could easily pick up Noxium at like 440, 450, I think. And here are the sellers at 472. So that's pretty damn low, and I actually think I'm gonna put some money towards some Noxium stocks. At some point this is gonna go up, and then well, we could have made some nice money. Let's take a look at some of the Nozic minerals then. Here we've got Zydrine stabilizing at 1400 after, well, going up to 1600, and now a little bit of a correction here, so it could be that Zydrine is gonna stay around the 1400 mark. 1370 for the buyers, 1440 for the sellers. Supply here, well, we've got some new orders coming in, not that much. It actually looks like the market is slowing down in volume a little bit. Is that a possibility? Slowly declining here. Maybe I should look at that here as well. Isogen still looking pretty robust. Here is Mexalon still looking pretty robust, but Zydrine definitely went down in volume, and because of that we're down a little bit in price as well. Megasite very similar. In fact, Megasite doing quite a bit of a pullback now. Started at, I would say, 2200 as a high point. Now we're heading back towards 1800. We are at, in fact, 1750 for the sellers, 1700 for the buyers. So Megasite is actually pulling back. The idea, of course, would be to find the right moment to step into the Megasite market after this. So I think it may be too early to start going back into some Megasite, to try buying some Megasite. But if you want to make an investment in that, which I think could be a good idea, considering again my idea that the new structures is actually going to cause quite some boom in demand all of a sudden. Keeping a very close eye on Megasite, trying to find the right time to jump in on there, try to buy some stuff, could be very important. You may just want to invest a little bit already, just get some opportunistic buy orders out. I think it could be a good idea, and something that I may actually do. And then Morphite, that one is also going down. So the Nullsec stuff is actually going down a little bit. That's interesting. We'll have to keep an eye on all of that and see if it's becoming a trend and if there's actually a real pullback that's going to happen in these minerals, which could be pretty good if people want to get some minerals going, which is what I want to do at the moment. So yeah, that's the minerals. Let's take a look at the Tech 1 chips. 10 minutes then for that. And let's take a look here first at the Apocalypse, which is finally stabilizing 176. So after a period of higher prices for the Apocalypse, we're right back where we started, seeing low and stable high-sec mineral prices, seeing a pullback now in the null-sec minerals. I think that is going to put just more pressure on this, and we could actually see all of these chips come back in line with where they were 6 months ago, which I think is not bad for the market, because the Tech 1 market, I think, is the one where you buy fleets that you're willing to lose, where you buy ships that you're willing to lose, and keeping that affordable, I think is definitely a good idea. So here is the Apocalypse market. We already saw a bit of a pullback now. Add to that low high-sec prices and lowering null-sec prices, we could actually see this go a bit lower once again. Here's the Caracal then. Well, I would say that this one is still in a higher situation than before, but we're finally seeing the 20-day moving average drop towards 11.5 million here. If we do see a sustained drop in null-sec minerals, I'm hoping to see the Caracal back at like 10.5 million at some point. Despite the fact that it's a very popular null-sec doctrine as well for big and early fleets. I think if we do see that we could actually see lower price across the board, and it would be a sign that there's actually a real pullback in the null-sec minerals as well. So all of this is correlated, and you have to try and find out what's actually happening. I think the Caracal could be a very good indicator for that. Here is the Dominix then. That one is showing the stability in the Tech 1 market that I've been talking about so much, right around the 195. A little bit of a period before that was higher, up to 205 million, and then here we went lower a little bit as well to 190, but very stable market overall, so looking pretty good. The Myrmidon had done a few nice spikes up here, but we're finally coming back down, and straight towards that 51 million is where we're stopping, which is a normal price for the Myrmidon, right back where we started 6 months ago. So it looks like everything could be settling down at the moment. Add a little bit of pressure from the pullback in null-sec, and we're looking really good to be right back where we were last summer for the Tech 1 market, which I think again is actually a healthy situation. Now here's the Oracle, started at 74, ending at 76, really a much higher period here. I'm actually thinking that we could settle on the Oracle at like 78 or something like that. If I'm not mistaken, these tier 3 battlecruisers do require a bit more megasite and Zydrine, and so I think these could settle a little bit higher, but that does not mean that the general story is wrong because of this. But you can see that it's actually moving around the 78 million mark, which is quite a bit higher than where we started 6 months ago. Next up here, the Stabber, starting at 10.4, ending at 10.6. Pretty violent chart here again. It's a cruiser. I guess sometimes people do buy cruiser fleets, maybe in Stabber fleets, and that is what's happening here mostly. But now we've been pretty stable throughout July, and so let's see if it can actually maintain that. Here's the Tornado then, again showing the tier 3 battlecruiser that is stabilizing at a higher price right there, starting at maybe 66, 67, yeah, 68 maybe for Tornado, something around that price mark. Here we are clearly settling at 73, quite a bit higher. And then finally here we've got the Vexor, which again is showing that stability, starting at 11.2, ending at maybe 11.3 or something like that. So the Tech 1 market is absolutely looking stable and pretty healthy, I think, as well. If we look at the numbers here, pretty big supply coming in, still decent demand here as well. I'll quickly go over these here now. Tornado, actually not that much, but higher prices mean opportunistic industrialists coming in with 59 tornadoes. All of a sudden, what's the daily volume? Maybe 70, 80, so this is almost a full day coming in from a single seller. Here's the Stabber then. Not that many Stabbers on the market, but still 78, 14, that's pretty good. Here's the Oracle. That is looking like a well-supplied market. Here's the Myrmidon, again looking pretty good. This is the Dominix market, looking good, and here is the Caracal market, looking pretty good as well. So maybe a slight slowdown in activity in some of them. Look at that, empty Stabber, not that many tornadoes. Could just be that the Minmatar are taking a summer break or something like that as well. But in general, I still have the feeling that the Tech 1 market is doing quite okay and managing to maintain a stable situation. Next up, Tech 2 ships then, 15 minutes for that. Let's see if some trade action is happening or if there is indeed less volatility. For the Basilisk, definitely a sell opportunity has just passed, a spike up to 230 million. Now we're back down towards 190, so that's a really big pullback all of a sudden. We've got more supply coming in, of course, trying to take advantage of these higher prices, but this does show that the Tech 2 market is still somewhat alive. Here's the Guardian then, unfortunately way too stable here, but at 130 it could be good to try and buy some Guardians. The buyers are at 125, although I would perfectly understand it if you'd like to see the chart actually move below 125 so that you can buy closer to 120 and be absolutely certain of a profit on the investment. I think that's something that could be the right move as well. Next up, the Hound here, showing again that volatility. Nice spike up to 19 million. Now we're back down towards 16 once again. So I think we're coming close again to, if you want to invest in some Tech 2 stuff, the Hound could be an interesting investment. Here's the Manticore chart here. That's the spike that I completely missed. I did not expect this to happen to the Manticore because it is a bit more expensive, but it did happen. So your buying opportunity was close to 21.5 million. You're selling at 26 million. That's pretty damn good. Unfortunately, the chart is pulling back already, so you're a bit late to sell. You're definitely late to buy on the Manticore here, but showing that Tech 2 trade market is still alive and well. Here's the Nemesis then, going down to 19 million, stabilizing here. Again, try to read the market. Is this the right time to buy already? Could be a bit early, you know. We see the chart going below 18 million as a bit of a trigger for more volatility. So I'd be careful, but it's possible as well. It's always very hard to predict, of course, what's happening here. Next up, the Oneros, went down to 135. That was obviously a buy opportunity. Now we're back up. I would like to see the chart actually move up to like 165, 170. That's not in the cards just now, but I did buy a few Oneroses on this dip, and so I'm probably looking at some profit already. Next up, the Purifier here, that one is going down. Yeah, going down quite nicely, coming into more interesting territory. I think buy orders are at 16.8, which is around here on the chart. So that's not so bad already for the buy orders. It's pretty obvious if the chart hits 16.5, we're probably looking at another trigger for purifiers, with investment buying, possibly fleet buying from Nalsic alliances. So keep an eye on that. The Purifier is actually going down with some momentum and could be coming into interesting buying territory pretty soon. Next up here, the Scimitar. That's not really what we like to see. This is a much steadier increase in price since, I would say, half of April, where we hit the bottom of 115 million. It's been way more stable except for this spike right here. But it's actually looking at like we're at 135 for Scimitar now, and it's hard to tell where it's going to go from here. But a lot of the other ones are actually showing good trade potential. So I'm still liking the Tech 2 market for medium and possibly short-term investments as well. Next up, Tech 3 market, 1830 for that one. Let's see what's happening here. Of course, the destroyers, you know, Confessor trying to go up a little bit, but that tends to be squashed down by that huge supply. Look at all of those numbers, pretty damn big. So I actually think we're not gonna expect anything too drastic here anytime soon. Here's the Hecate, already below 40 million, and it's probably gonna stay below that for the time being. It is the latest one, so it needs some time to actually stabilize and form a chart, but it's obvious it's gonna go the same route as all of the others. Here's the Jackdaw, well below 40 million, dipping below 35, going back up, but again, I think we're seeing pretty big numbers, 30, 13, 10, 12. We're seeing decent numbers still on the supply side, and thus this will, if the price ever breaks 40, we'll get big supply coming in, and yeah, that'll just keep a dampener on how high these destroyers can be, making them very affordable stuff you can actually use and lose. Here's the Legion then, that's one of those cruisers, 145, so pretty obvious that again on any spike they're very short-lived. There's big supply in Tech 3, a lot of industrial potential, and thus it's very hard for any of these to break out in any sustained manner. It's really about timing the market here, and I think it's very hard to make a big profit on producing Tech 3 stuff at the moment. Yeah, below 150, below 145 for the sellers, and still 26, 21 coming in here. So still that pressure is on for the Legion. I'm expecting it to go a little bit lower again until we see a big alliance or a big investor saying, okay, at this point I'm definitely going to make some profit of it, buy a lot of Legions, and then we'll go back up. But again, that supply gap will be filled pretty quickly, and then the pressure will be back on. Here's the Loki chart, pretty similar, staying just above 150 now, or yeah, 152 for the sellers, 141 for the buyers. Actually pretty big gap here, and still we've got 36, 10, 10, 8, 4 coming in. So that's actually that pressure that is showing up here, meaning that there's no way it's ever going to really break out, I think, unless something drastic happens, of course. And I think we'll dip back below the 150 pretty soon. Here's the Proteus chart. That one did break out just a little bit, but you can see it's already ending at like 165 or something like that. So 166 almost for the sellers. Not bad. If you have some Protea laying around, you could try and take the opportunity here, but buyers at 152. And all of this is less than a day old. All of this up, yeah, even here we're talking 40, 35 of them taking advantage of the higher price, and all of this is again competing with all of the other sellers here. Pretty much this entire front page is just pressure on the price, meaning that this will be very short-lived, and the Proteus is actually going to go back down as the days and weeks progress now. Here is this Vapul chart then, a little bit of a spike up to 45. Let's see what if the supply response is there. Absolutely, look at that, 127, 85, 75, another 42, another 33. That competition in the Tech 3 market, whenever there is an opportunity to sell at a higher price, is just huge. I do think that adding 4 destroyers into the mix, not only 4 cruisers, means that there is a bit more fluidity, there is more industrial potential that's going to go towards where the opportunity lies, meaning that other Tech 3 ships get a bit more of a chance to go through their glut in supply, increase in price. So it does mean that a lot of that that overproduction that we saw for more than a year in just the cruisers has moved towards producing these destroyers, meaning that there's a bit less pressure on all of them. We saw Tengus, which are now, let me see here, around 150. We saw Tengus go as low as 120 million. So keep that in mind. Of course, we are settling a little bit higher. That is just a lot of that activity is now going towards the destroyer. So in that sense, for increasing the value of the cruisers, that has done its job. But we are seeing those really big numbers, that oversupply now just being distributed over 8 ships instead of 4, meaning that there's a bit less pressure, but it is definitely still there. I definitely still feel that there is more production then there is actual use and loss of these ships. Although the destroyers have done quite a bit to fix the situation for the cruisers. We've just stabilized at around 150 for the cruisers now, where previously you could probably pick up any of the Tech 3 cruisers for below 120 million if you took your time to wait for the right opportunity. So that's just the evolution in the Tech 3 market. It's actually, I think, a good move to keep some value in there, to not have these cruisers crash down completely. And let's hope that at some point they get rebalanced as well. They get reworked so that they actually find a bit more use, and then we could actually see this market revive a little bit. And then finally, for the extra material, 24 minutes, I'm going to quickly take a look at the isotopes here once again. The isotopes are actually looking pretty stable here for the helium at around 740 ISK, so nothing dramatic to report here. I guess all of this is pretty much timed again with the announcement of the mineral changes. I'm not sure if that could have an impact on the increase in price here, but for now I would say we're looking pretty stable for the helium isotopes. Here's hydrogen isotopes though. That one, nice spike up. Did something happen? An ice interdiction, some speculation by a big alliance? That's always possible. We are settling down here pretty quickly. Are we seeing really big supply? Well, actually, not as many orders as I would expect, except of course that probably all of these 88 days and 12 hours are after the trigger here as well. So we are seeing some supply coming in to fill that gap, but if you somehow manage to buy hydrogen isotopes as low as 620, you're looking at a pretty good investment that you might want to sell at the moment, because I do think that the pressure will be on and that this will go down. We may need to go back to isotopes next week or the week after that to see what happened for hydrogen isotopes. Next up here is the nitrogen isotopes. I'm a bit surprised at how all of these have quite different charts, despite the fact that they're all isotopes. So nitrogen actually went down in the first 3 to 4 months and now went up pretty substantially, recovering up to 830, 840 ISK on the nitrogen isotopes. That's quite surprising to see that this is actually a more steadier movement over several months, but whereas the helium isotopes have gone up and managed to stay stable, the nitrogen isotopes, here have actually gone down and now have recovered over the 6 months period. So it's a difficult markets to gauge just like that. It's tied to ice mining, it's tied to fuel production, to POS usage. So there's actually a lot of different activities that have an influence on the isotope market, but all of them do seem to have their own life, because here is the oxygen isotopes, pretty low, down to 700, and then stable at a low point. So all of them are doing different things. I may need to do a bit more homework on the isotopes market, because I find this pretty weird in a sense that that they're not moving in any similar fashions. All 4 of them have very different charts, and so I think I'll try and do a bit more homework on the isotopes and the fuel situation for next week. Anyways, that's it for this EVE Talk, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all next time.